Go ahead.
All right, welcome everybody. Want to go ahead and get started with this meeting. Do a roll call. Melody Jesper.
Here.
Rick Fisher. Mike Cage.
Here.
Ronna Gerstner.
Here.
All right, first duty, approve the agenda, which everybody should have in front of them. And if I can get a motion.
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
All right. And then also the minutes from last week's meeting, which everybody got also. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And a second.
Second.
Before we get going with the rest of the agenda, Greg did have a few comments to address. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Greg.
Stacy, thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody, I realize with the global pandemic, it kind of throws schedules out of whack, but moving forward, assuming that we get a little closer to normal operations, the Tourism Commission meets twice a year, and the reason it does that is it's based off of the city's fiscal year, which is the 1st of October. Our big meeting, our big funding meeting is the one that is held in July. That is when essentially programs for the last quarter of that year, which would be post-October, and then everything for the coming year is funded. This December meeting is a cleanup of odds and ends. There are typically no meetings scheduled between this meeting and the meeting we have in July. So while this isn't necessarily directed at anyone that's part of this meeting, I know we did receive an application just today. And I want to make sure that everybody understands how our cycle works. So again, and we'll be sure to put a better explanation of this up on the Tourism Commission's page on the city's website. But again, the funding requests need to be timed in a way that at the July meeting, you're asking for events to be funded from October of that year all the way through October of the next year. And that way the city's able to accommodate that within its fiscal budget. They're separate from each other, but they're still obviously connected to each other. So again, the July meeting, big funding meeting, December meeting, we clean up some odds and ends. It's a little different this year because the December meeting is being used as the opportunity to do some carryover for events that didn't happen. Roberts is a very good example of that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood the fiscal cycle that we're on as far as events and the correct time on the calendar to request that funding. So Stacy, thank you for letting me jump in there and kind of throw that out there.
Not a problem. The first thing we have on the agenda is Scott Seek with the Jefferson County Tourism Commission requesting $12,000. So go ahead, Scott.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for allowing me to meet with you today. We had a little snafu last week, and so I appreciate it. My name is Scott Seek. I'm president of the newly formed Jefferson County Tourism Commission. And I'll read our vision right now. Is the Jefferson County Tourism Commission is here to strengthen and grow Jefferson County's economy through travel and tourism, which will bring more revenue to the county while supporting our local businesses. The organization had formed as a result of years of working through the Tourism Committee on the Jefferson County Growth Association. And through a collaborative effort of the Jefferson County Growth Association and the city administrators, the Economic Development Commission, we ended up forming the Jefferson County Tourism Commission. We're now needing the seed support to get the organization up and working well. And so the funding we're asking for will be part of a coalition of tourism commissions in Jefferson County and the Jefferson County Growth Association and the combined funding of the Festus Tourism Commission, Arnold Tourism Commission, and the Peevely Tourism Commission, along with the help of the Jefferson County Growth Association, will hopefully create the seed administration funding that will allow for the initial stages of securing a much larger sourcing of funds for the Jefferson County Tourism Commission. And so we've currently received funding from Arnold and Peevely. We're asking the same amount from all the tourism commissions. So that's what we're asking from you guys today as well. So we're wanting to be able to grow this up. It allows on a county-wide level. We think that there can be some real synergies that can work, that can create more funding, more tourism, and then have that feed upon itself back into Jefferson County, and thus would benefit Arnold, would benefit Peevely, and definitely would benefit Festus as well, their tourism commissions. This is not something we're wanting to take away from the tourism commissions. We're wanting to be able to support and add to those. But of course, the organization has to get off the ground first. So that's the basic reasons. We've put more explanation in the applications, of course, as you'll read that. But I wanted to have an opportunity to field any questions or concerns about this from the group here. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time with us.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. How much money is Jefferson County, the county itself, putting into this tourism committee?
Yeah, so are you talking about the county government?
Yes.
Okay.
I know you
Yeah,
mentioned all the different towns that had motels or hotels in them, but you didn't mention any city's name as contributing to the fund.
Yeah,
Or the county.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we're currently looking through the tourism commissions that we're asking for funding from really are coming from the bed tax, and that bed tax, there's a bed tax in Arnold, in Peevely, and in Festus. And so that's where the initial support we're looking for. Now, the county does not have a bed tax, and that's something that's one of the goals that we would like to adjust to. So in other words, or move towards to where the county would have a full bed tax. It's something that the city administrators and we would all look at together, work together on in order to allow for that to happen. But what that would allow for is, at least in our vision, is that it would not take away from any of the city's current bed taxes. It will just be able to allow for, the bed and breakfasts that aren't part of the bed tax. Let's say any new hotels, any new overnight stays, any of that type of stuff that you have to be inside the city to be able to participate in. What our hope is to move it to a county-wide effort, so that we can grow the county throughout and be able to get those bed taxes off of any of that revenue that might be.
First, that's Greg. Is the gentleman in the red sweater?
The different.
Yes.
I wasn't sure there. I just had a little box on him, and I wasn't sure if that was him or not. But you're not asking the county for any funds to help grow, or any other city, just going after the tourism money, correct?
Correct.
If you're going to be a
That's
county
first
tourism,
step.
the whole county should contribute. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah. We're in a situation where it's the chicken or egg type of thing, where we need funding to get started, but to get started, then the county can't invest in this until we are an organization that's running the system. And so they don't recognize, the county does not recognize us as a as a political subdivision, which we're not. And I had to remember what the name of that was, but a political subdivision. And so therefore can't fund it. Now, once we become valid, and all of this is just started. So we've gotten our 501c3, we've gotten our articles of incorporation, and and all the different things that are needed to be able to bring in other funding sources. Those, once we create that, then we can take it to the county. Once the county gets the opportunity to support it, then they want to help us in that direction. So we've been in contact with, and I failed to mention that, but we have been in contact with Dennis Gannon. This is definitely something that he's wanting to move forward with. However, again, back to the chicken and the egg, which one's first? We have to be able to get the grant funding to start this all up, and we need a lot of the other the pieces to go into place. And so again, that seed money is going to help us reach that goal, so that then the county can help us with that.
Mike, if I could just jump in here for a second. Stephanie and I were invited to a meeting that was attended by Arnold and Peebly, but also the county executive, Dennis Gannon, was there. And it's obviously being organized initially by JCGA, but did have the full support of the county executive at that meeting.
Scott, what's the contingency if the other cities don't come on board?
They've already funded us. So as far as
everybody has
the seed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought there was one that had not. I apologize.
Oh no, yeah, no. They've already started funding on that side. So I don't know. Again, we're asking for faith, good faith in this start portion. In the future, we're hoping that any kind of funding request might be more of a collaborative effort, saying, hey, we're able to receive this grant. Can you? This is all future speculation, but I would envision it'd be something like this, where I'd say, oh, hey, we were able to get a grant from the state utilizing X, whatever the reason is for, and then we'd be able to share those funding sources as they come through for whatever the needs are at that time. And that's really speculative and saying, but I have been in contact with, I think we're going to be setting up a meeting with Dan Shaw, Becky Ruth, and of course Dennis Gannon, and there's one other representative that we're going to be getting together with, trying to get bigger state money to move towards Jefferson County in that sense. So I'm expecting and hoping that they'll be on board with that, because they've given that. At least verbally given that commitment that they want to help us out with that.
Okay.
Greg, I have one more question for him. In 5 years, do you think your organization will be able to fund itself?
That's the hope. Yeah, I'd say within what we'd really like to do it was within 1 year. I don't know if I'm thinking too grandiose or not, but absolutely within 5 years. We are highly expected to be completely independent as far as funding sources go. We're obviously don't want to be independent as far as the collaborative effort between all of the tourisms and the JCGA and the county. But as far as funding goes, we don't want to have to be asking for money on a regular basis like this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott? All right, moving on. Kevin Haggerty, Cadet Tom Memorial Days, May 21st.
I think it's May 14 and 15, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Let me look. Yeah, I believe it's the 14th.
But in
15th,
2021, that's all we wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. It is 2021. Yes.
Okay.
So what is it that you would like to know from me?
Just the basis.
I filed an
you have the
application.
Just the basics
Okay.
of what you're asking for.
Okay. Apparently I am very new at this, so please forgive me if I violate protocol in some way. But apparently the city tourism board had a hand in an inaugural event last year. It was basically a little marble ride, a motorcycle gathering for the benefit of the Cadet Tom Surdike Foundation. And I'm happy to go into what that is if you don't know or are interested. However, the event was a single day event last year that kind of, for the lack of a better term, it was an inaugural event and we learned a lot from it, as people do in events like that. And we learned not only what not to do and what to do, but we also understand the potential that we had if we put even more of an effort into it. So the desire is that we create an annual event that can be basically kind of a don't miss event for not only motorcycle community, the veterans community, but also bicycle community as well, so that we can continue to fund the Cadet Tom Surdike Foundation, whose mission statement I included in the application basically is to support the leadership of America's youth through funding, grants, and just outright gifts to organizations and schools and whatever. Tom, I did not know Tom. It gets a little personal at this point for me, but I was a resident of Festus in 1970, maybe, and moved back here after 50 years in California. And I'm very much interested in seeing this event take off and be a premier event for not only the city of Festus, but I happen to think that the foundation and its mission statement are imperative, given the climate we find ourselves in generally these days with America's youth. So I just am in full support, and I'm retired now, so I'm happy to give my time and my effort and I have experience in organizing motorcycle and specific events over the years, and I actually own part of a motorcycle tour and rental company that is worldwide, based in Anchorage, Alaska, actually. And so I have a lot of experience in addressing that community. So I'm hopeful that the city will get behind it like it did before. One of the main issues that kind of came up last year was that we had hoped that people would come from far and wide, and there would be more of an economical impact for the businesses in the city of Festus. And we know that, or we, excuse me, we suspect that by pushing it to a 2-day event, basically a Friday afternoon, evening, and Saturday event, it'll cause us to get more people, number one, more riders. Again, embracing the bicycle community and the veterans community will also cause that there to be a significant impact in the hotel night stays, restaurants, gas stations, and all of the other supporting businesses that support that kind of event. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if anybody has any, what's kind of planned is, and again, this is a plan, but what we hope to do is to acquire the the permission to use West City Park, and on Friday night to have a fireworks and dinner auction, all the proceeds all to benefit the Cadet Tom Surdike Foundation. And then on Saturday morning, have the typical ride that we had last year, only include a breakfast for the riders. The other thing that's on Friday night is a band fireworks show and an auction. And then on Saturday, a bicycle event, a motorcycle event, and vendors. So that's the kind of grand plan. We think that, I did a little poking around on the state of Missouri's website, and because I'm just new to tourism as a mechanism, if you will. And what I discovered that according to the state of Missouri in the year 2016, for every dollar they spent, the tourism board spent, $96 was returned in revenue to the businesses in the state. That's a pretty good ratio. So, and as I understand this program that we're applying for, it's basically a, reimbursement program anyway. It's not like it's a grant or anything. And I anticipate, and it's the desire of those that are involved at the Cadet Tom Surdike Foundation and this particular event itself, that in a year or less, maybe even this year, it could in fact be self-supporting. So anyway.
Thank you
I'm
very much.
open to any and all questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Can I add something?
I have a question. Are those dates good? Are they open dates in our calendar? And he's asking for 2 dates. On here, he has only May 21st, but he's asking for 2 days, a Saturday and a Friday and a Saturday.
Correct. And I think that the reason, I guess maybe I am asking for 2 days. I apologize for making that error. I thought they wanted to know when it started, but that's okay. That's the other thing. It may even, we would like to evolve this even to the point, I did some poking around on the internet, again, if we can, we may even rename the event the Cadet Tom Surdike Patriot Days of Festus or something that's a little more encompassing of what we're trying to do.
Can I add something?
But I don't know the answer to your question about whether the dates are open on your calendar. I don't know the answer to that.
I just checked
Thomas,
with
go
our
ahead.
event person and she says the dates are open. And that'd be correct. The 21st and the 22nd, the correct days then? The 2 days? I don't have a
No,
calendar.
it
20th
would
and
be
21st. Okay.
14th and 15th.
the May 14, which is a Friday, and May 15, which is a Saturday of 2021.
Can I add something in here real quick?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Hey, this was a Tanglefoot event some 2 years back in October. And the Surdike Foundation had come to the Tanglefoot Association and asked if they could take this event on. And so that's where we handed it off. I'm going to help them as much as I can, but I'm just kind of get it familiar. Take off on the bikers on Main Street. So if that clarifies anything.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. All right. The next two are from Robert Bruns. I think they're both rollover requests. Is that correct?
Well, that was a question from me. Was this, I didn't know if we were doing this so far December. I heard what Greg said at the beginning, but I wasn't aware of that just yet. So is this to talk about the March?
Yeah, this
or
is,
December?
Robert, I think what we have on here is the November 20 to 21 event for the All-American Bowl, and then the state championship for December 20 and 21, but that would be for 2021, correct?
That, yes,
Okay.
So what we did, the All-American has rolled over to March. March, I got those dates here. The state tournament has been canceled for 2021, so we wouldn't be looking at that until December.
Robert, I think it was March 19, 20, and 21. Is that correct?
Yes, there it is. I have
Okay.
it. So is this meeting right now to discuss the rollover or to discuss December?
This is just for the rollover your two events into next year. So
Okay, so we can drop item 4 because we won't do the state tournament until December of 2021. So I guess the request is to roll over from November to March the 19th, 20, and 21st. I didn't submit any new paperwork. It's all the same from before.
The same event you would be doing next December is the one that was slated for this year, correct?
Okay, so item 3 has been delayed from November to March.
March, but
And then-
item 4 has been pushed out to December of 2021, correct?
Right.
But you don't want to just you don't want to request rollover at this point? You want to come back in July and request funding?
No, for item 3 or item 4.
Item 4.
So item 4 has been canceled for this year, for 2020. We won't do that event until December of 2021.
Correct.
yeah, do you want the funding for this year's canceled event to be rolled over to December 3, 4, 5 of 21?
Yes, I didn't realize that was an option, but yes, that'd be the most simple way because all the numbers stay the same.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that's probably what the plan would be, but yeah. Okay. So then you're just requesting that we roll everything over except the one will happen in March versus happening in November.
It'll happen in March and then again in November of 2021. So you want me to come in July and ask for November 2021?
Correct, because that's a different, I mean, it's a duplicate event, but in the same year. So
Right.
yes.
Right. So that is, we really start spending money in June on that. So is there any way after the March event that we could get some sort of feel if we're going to be funded again? Because that's like I said, we have to reserve fields and it all starts with the insurance, which is a big outlay right up front. That's my only concern about waiting till July to ask for it. If we after March just send you a preliminary, here's how it went. Could we get a preliminary? Yeah, we need to talk about this, or yeah, you look like it's pretty good to go.
Well, it's in essence, it's a new event.
Yeah, I understand.
So so that would have been an additional request. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, that would be a new request.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not making myself clear about that. Since we have to wait till July to ask for November of 2021 funding for the All-American event, the problem we have there is the financial part of that event begins in June. So if after March, if you're just not liking this event anymore, I mean, could you just tell us then so we wouldn't be spending money in hopes of getting the approval a month later?
I think, Robert, if you were to get, your follow-up, we have that checklist that we had started trying to use last year. If you could get the checklist to us where tourism would have an opportunity to review that and be able to make that call, I think we could get some feedback to you prior to June.
Good. Okay.
Before you start planning.
Okay.
Definitely. All right. Let's see. We have, let's see. Ray Marler is on the call with us as well. If anybody had any questions for Ray on the World of Outlaws request.
Yes, I'm here. Can you
I
hear
know I
me?
skipped ahead in the agenda, but the others are all, I believe, are more of rollovers except for raise request.
Okay, and you know, we did this last in the middle of the summer, but didn't have enough time for you to get a vote for the last year's show in August. So this is a request for this year, which will be, the date will be August the 6th and 7th.
Okay.
I just found out about an hour ago how to do this, so I'm very new at it.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay.
So what you're requesting from us is $10,000, and what is that 10,000 going towards?
Okay, it will go for promotion for this show. Like, now, we don't have the budget settled this year because I'm using the World of Outlaws to get it for me, because they do this about 100 times during the year all across the country, and they can get it cheaper than I can. But it will include some billboards. It'll include advertisement in the press leader. It'll include advertising on KTJJ, local advertising. But you know, this show in the past has brought in, we've sold tickets in 30 plus states and 3 countries. This last year, because of that August, the pandemic going on, it wasn't quite as good. We didn't sell tickets in some foreign countries. We're hoping that changes and goes back this year, but it still draws a big crowd to the area from a lot of states.
Okay.
Does that make sense what I'm trying to explain to you?
It's part of your marketing budget.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions for Ray?
I do. How would that fit in with having the Festus tourism on all the advertising, or how would that work? And being that we're only a portion of the advertising, or would it be on the billboards? How would he be able to, carry out
Okay.
the requirements?
Now, I don't quite follow. Do you mean if I did a billboard, would it have sponsored by Festus Tourism?
I believe that is part of the rules of getting money from Festus Tourism, to
Yes,
have
I
certain
can,
marketing.
I don't think that won't be a problem. I just have to know in advance when, what I got to put on the billboard with the other promotion. Does that make sense?
Yes. Unless anybody else has questions?
I have a question. This is to Greg. I went and checked on the Missouri rules and regulations on this. It said we can give to charity organizations outside of my corporate limits, but it didn't say I can give to individuals. I cannot give the money to just an individual person. It has to be a charity or a community event to give it to. And here I'm giving it to an individual, the funds. And if you look at the law, it don't have individuals
Mike,
on there.
if you recall, we had a legal opinion
I
from.
know, and I checked it up. That's why I went and looked on the website. It does not say individual. It says,
Well, this would be to the organization, which is the I-55 Raceway, and not to Ray
it
Marlar.
says
per
right
se.
here, Ray Marlar.
Well, he's the gentleman that submitted the request. Just to go to what Melody asked, because I think it's a valid point, the only way, or the condition that the Tourism Commission would be able to grant the funding to the I-55
So we're going
Raceway
to give
for
the
the
money
world.
to a professional organization then.
Correct. In order for us to fund his promotion, would have to incorporate something that said something along the lines of sponsored in part by the Festus Tourism. That's the key. Obviously, that's a big part of a lot of the stuff that we do, from the AP Bowl, as Robert can tell you, where we have to get the stickers on the helmets or the bags, to the advertising, to the T-shirts for the pickleball tournament. So any of the funds used by I-55 for the World of Outlaws would have to incorporate something that indicated that a portion of the funding for that advertising was provided by Festus Tourism.
I just wanted to make it clear that we was not giving that money to an individual.
No. Understood. Understood.
And what you're saying is correct. It would be simple for me to do. Does that make sense, or did you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay.
I think one concern, and maybe this is what, one of the questions too, is that it's not a philanthropic nature, or it's a private business event. Is that, Mike, is that kind of what you're leaning towards, or?
Yes, it would be, but the way I understood, in fact, Rhonda is on your board. I don't know if she's on this here right now or not.
She is.
She is. Well, I think she could verify that the motels are full when this happened. I know, like the Cracker Barrel down here wants me to let them know whenever I have that, so they can get extra help. Some of the filling stations, the one there in the Peevely, I know for sure, and it brings a lot of people to the area.
Festus gets benefits.
Rhonda, can you speak to that, please?
The what now?
Oh, yeah, it's my biggest event. Yeah, I'm sold out. I have to plan ahead to make sure my rates are where they're supposed to be. I also tell Ruby Tuesdays. There's some other restaurants, bars. They're here. They're big spenders. Most of their money's coming to Festus, not to, I'm sorry to say, not to Peevely. But he has 2 big events like that I count on. And if they're staying at my hotel, they're eating here, they're shopping here, they're doing it here.
Okay. Any other questions? And I thought Shelley was on the call, but I do not see her anymore. Greg, am I wrong with that?
We lost her. Yeah, she is not on the call right now.
Okay. So in that respect, I think that we are ready to start the approval of funding, unless anybody else has anything to add. Nope. All right. All right. So let's start at the top. Jefferson County Tourism Commission, the request for $12,000. In favor? Questions?
Stacy, how would you like to do this? Would you like a discussion about the items, or for someone to make a motion? Probably best to do a motion in a second, or at
Yes.
least a motion and then a vote. We could do it that way for a funding amount. And if there needs to be any discussion after the motion, we can do that. So
Okay.
for the purpose of this one, then a motion to provide $12,000 of funding to the Tourism Commission would be something someone would say.
Okay. Is that someone, me?
I made the motion.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Do I need to do a roll call, or can we just do the all in favor?
I think we can go ahead and do this as a yay or a nay on these
Okay.
individual items.
Okay. Next would be a motion for the Cadet Tom Surdike Memorial Days request of $9,300.
I make a motion.
Second?
Is this the wrong time for a question?
Nope, go ahead.
We've looked at things before when they're pretty new like this on maybe not extending that much. And I guess that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah. And if you recall, and I'll step in for Kevin and Tom, if you recall, this was the Tanglefoot event last year. So it is a carryover event, but by all means, you can certainly talk about a different level of funding, higher or lower. It's the commission's discretion.
What was the amount last year? Do you recall?
Hang on, we'll get it for you here.
I believe that was 6,000.
I think it was too.
Was 6,000.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. Supposed to be, I'm just looking at your cost detail compared to your revenue and fees, and it already shows to be a profitable event by almost $13,000. So I guess my question is, why do you need funding? If your information is correct on here. The cost detail comes up to 24,000. The revenue detail comes up to 37,000. So it's already a profitable event by over $13,000.
I appreciate that, and you're absolutely right. Those revenue are projections, and a lot of it is based upon independent sponsorship. So that's just not guaranteed. And I would love to be in a position that we didn't have to rely on any of that reimbursement funding. And if that were the case, we'd certainly just, be fine with that. If in fact that's what we wind up, raising in terms of sponsorship. But it is just a projection.
Okay. Greg, were you able to determine what the funding was last year?
It was the event request last year was 6,000.
6,000. Is that what was granted?
Correct.
Okay. So I like what
believe
Kevin
we
had to
made-
say, that if they don't need money from us, that they would not pull that money. Being that it is a second year event, I would be comfortable with the 6,000, same as it was last year. And then, revisit again if we're asked for a sponsorship in a future year.
I'll amend my motion for that 6,000.
A second?
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. The request from Robert Bruns, a motion to accept the rolling over of those funds, the $30,000 to March.
Had we already approved that
You have.
earlier? Okay, well then,
Yeah, it
that's a
was approved.
no-brainer.
Yeah, the event was supposed to run in November, but they had to cancel it. So he's just going to roll the event to March just asking if the funding can remain the same, just different dates.
I make a motion to roll.
Second,
Yes, second.
all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, item 4, motion to roll over the funds for the state championship to December of 2021, $10,000.
And that is a pre-existing event that you've already funded.
I make a motion to roll that over.
A second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Item 5 is approval for event change reimbursement of, I guess, $1487.02. If I can get a motion.
I make a motion to roll that over.
Second
Second?
the motion?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 6 would be a motion to roll over, change the event date for the track and football consortium, move to July of 2021. Approved amount is already $6,000.
Make a motion to roll?
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Item 7, a motion to go ahead and roll over the $12,000 for the 6th anniversary Street Fest to October of 21. We've already approved 12,000.
Make a motion to roll?
Second,
Second.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 8, question or motion, either one, World of Outlaws, the request for $10,000 for August of this year, August of 2021, I'm sorry. Comments, questions, or a motion?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Motion to approve $7,600 for the bottleneck bridge ride.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the number 10, the YMCA Twin City Days, July 2021, Shelley Otek, they're requesting $1,500. Question, comment, motion?
How much that's going to benefit our city on these funds? I see no benefit to the city of Festus, and it's going out. Our local YMCA here is a branch of the South County YMCA, so they get all the money.
Stacy, I might be able to speak to that. This is Scott Seek.
Okay, go ahead, Scott.
Okay, I'm on the Jefferson County Family YMCA board, and the Jefferson, just a little bit of clarification on the YMCA. The funds that you would be approving there would be to state, even though it goes up to what's called the Metro YMCA, it's a conglomerate of all of the YMCA's in the metropolitan area. The benefit for those funds would actually be for the Jefferson County Family YMCA. So it's not just a offset of South County, it's an offset of all of them. But our board and our YMCA here is very community centric. So what this would do would be to try to get, and we've been successful in the past. I didn't know if this was a rollover funding or not for these events, but in the past, we've brought people in for the Moonlight Run, for the workouts and all that, and that is advertised all over the metropolitan area to bring people in to the metropolitan or to the Festus area. So I have not seen any kind of notations as to whether there's a where they're coming from, but we can definitely do those calculations to say, whoever signs up, what area are you coming from to do that? But 5Ks and stuff like that are all a big part of that. So again, that would be part of the Twin City Days, I believe. And then of course you got the walks and the runs and stuff like that. So I don't have Shelley's presentation, but I can tell you from the YMCA that's how that works. So it would benefit the area. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you need any other question or answers.
What is the $1,500 paying for? All it says is
it just
costs $1,600 to put it on. That's the only, and that you might recover $500 from entry fees.
Yeah,
I get that it's Twin City Days, both of us, but
I believe that's a 5K run. I'm sorry, that part I don't have an answer to. I wish Shelley were on, but I thought I'd answer since she's not on as best I can. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Participated in some of these events, and the police department's free, the ambulance is free. A lot of people donate their time free, and all these local residents, they go to the Moonlight Ride in Crystal City and they all go back home. I don't see where we're going to benefit any. I don't see what your expenses are if they're all the time donated.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer to that. I'm sorry.
So do we have a motion to approve or disapprove?
They're gonna die due to lack of motion?
Probably the way to do that would be to have a motion and then it would die for a lack of a second. Or it would then be, if it did get a second, then we could do yays and nays. And then if it failed due to lack of a majority vote.
And are we talking about all
Did you- yeah.
three of these that she's asking for? Or are
Right.
we just talking about?
Do you want to do them
Number 10.
individually or you can lump the three of them together?
I think they're about the same, aren't they?
Can I tell you, I will say that they did a virtual event for the Twin City Days this last year. But I believe the Thanksgiving one was canceled, but they did up they're asking, that's why I did it as a new event, because it wasn't a complete rollover. I don't know if that helps at all, but the Moonlight one is a new one, from what I could tell from last year's tourism information.
Okay.
And I have a question. I just don't see the, revenue, all the expenses. I guess it's just unclear
Yeah.
and I feel uncomfortable.
Melody,
about-
as we talked about at our last meeting, on new events, it's hard for them to give us that. As part of the checklist that the commission has adopted moving forward, we do get a post-event profit and loss statement from them. So on these
Okay.
newer events, we're not going to have a P&L.
Okay.
But as we move forward, we'll be able to give those to you to refer back to the previous year's event. So yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately on newer events, we're not going to have
Well,
a
I
profit
just-
and loss.
I did see that cost was 1,600 and we might recover 500 from entry fees.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay.
So the Twin City Day event is going to die due to lack of motion. Is that correct?
I think the best way to do it would be to have a motion you can make a motion to deny, but you could also make a motion to approve. It would fail for a lack of a second. If it gets a second, then it could be just a yays or nays. And then, of course, if there's not a majority in favor, then obviously it would fail that way as well. But a lack of a second would probably be the best way to address it if I'm reading the tone of the room right now correctly.
I only have one other comment. Maybe just doing half of what she's requesting. I don't know if that's the right call, but we got that.
I'd be more inclined to do something for the Thanksgiving event, only because it actually takes place in Festus. And there might be more of a community draw. I don't know.
I like that comment. I like that.
In light of that, perhaps we would want to consider each one individually.
Okay. So I'll make the motion for the first item 10, $1,500. No second? Item is declined.
That's correct.
Okay, I make a motion for item 11, the Moonlight Run, $1,500. No second. Item declined. Motion for item 12, the Thanksgiving Day workout. I would request $1,500.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Line item 13, the BB 5K walk or run, request for $2,000. And did we get confirmation if they did secure the speaker?
I haven't heard any updates on that.
I would just remind that since it is a reimbursement, on all of our funding. If they were not having to pay Mr. Aeneas Williams, Pastor Williams, the amount to come speak, then their reimbursement request would be for less.
Okay, so the reimbursement request is for solely for his cost, correct?
They have a breakdown of their costs. It looks like the guest speaker is the 2,000, and then the rest of it is the essay winners, signage, and some other odds and ends. So the $2,000 is the cost of the guest speaker.
Do you recall, do you have it handy what we paid them last year, what we approved last year? Or was this not the one that
We
we
paid
had?
them, we paid them 1,000 and just recently for their event this year.
If they secure Aeneas Williams, I would be comfortable adding in that extra 1,000 to help kind of cover some of that expense because I've heard him speak. I think it would be something great to be able to do. Anybody else have any comments or questions or?
I have a question for Greg. Should I abstain on this since I've been involved with that club?
No, sir. Are you currently involved?
No, sir.
Oh, you're fine.
So I make a motion to approve the 2,000 as long as Aeneas Williams is secured. If not, revert to the 1,000.
You can do that.
Okay.
I'd like to second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 14, city advertising and miscellaneous expenses, $6,500. Can I get a motion to approve or questions?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll
Second?
second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 And finally, the marketing campaign, Greg Camp, $28,000. If I can get a motion on that one.
Greg, what's that money going to be used for?
Mike, we've used that in the past for our out of market. We've used it in the 573 magazine, Feast magazine, and the Post-Dispatch. It's basically promoting our hotel partners more than anything else, but also the events that the city puts on.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so I think that is everything that is on the list.
Hey, Stacy, my internet kept dropping. I kept getting dropped from my internet. I didn't hear if mine was approved or not. Apologize.
To roll over the amounts, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yep. Stephanie, do you have a current total then for the approved?
At the bottom of the sheet, I show 140,387.02.
And we've approved 134,
Yeah,
8702.
so it would just be taking out the two YMCA's. So.
Okay. I didn't know if we needed to separate what had already been approved and rolled over, so.
And in the minutes, I will note the approved and I will send you guys back the requested sheet with the amount requested versus the amount approved as well, whenever I send out your minutes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other reports or announcements?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion to
I
adjourn.
second it.
All right, have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Are you ready for the ayes?